using your pins, why don't we just see what we can see and say, and unfortunately it's a little discolored. Hand me a couple of those dissection needles that I can reflect this back out of the way. They're those sharp with wooden handles. They're wooden handles with a sharp pick. Thank you. 2 is good to start. 2 is just great to start. So we'll just kind of put this out of the way.
You guys have a couple more in your tray.
Okay, 1 will do it. Okay, so understanding the anatomy is pretty tight in here. And I don't want to clip the lung. I'm just going to kind of fold over that superior lobe. And what you can see is the arch of the aorta is still covered by this fibrous pericardium, but we've kind of pushed it back, and we see it kind of arching around like this, and then we don't pick up the rest of that arch until we pull everything really, really far to the left. And we see, actually over here to the right, and we see the aorta. And can everybody see how it's coming down here? And you see that bulge? I'll get my head out of the way.
Nope, you're fine.
Yeah? So we can see that. So we know the arch of the aorta is just right there. Okay, so now, off the arch of the aorta, what are the only 2 branches that come off? And I'm going to put my scissors, I don't want to snag the vagus nerve there. What are the only 2 branches that come off the cat's arch of the aorta?
The brachiocephalic
Trunk?
and the left cephalic.
Left subclavian.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess we'll always try to go red, white, and blue. So we'll go brachiocephalic trunk, red. Can everybody see that okay?
Well, our left, their right, right?
No, left is left. When you and I shake left hands, don't we have to reach across the midline? So my right and your right are the same side. It's just when you're looking, anatomical position is the patient or subject is facing you. So their right is still their right.
Yeah.
But in relationship to my right, it's across the midline.
Okay.
Yeah. So you always shake hands with the right hand. Where would you go to shake your right hand? I have to cross the midline. I don't stay on the same side of the midline. So the first vessel that comes off on the right side, but we don't call it the right brachiocephalic trunk since there's only 1. We just call it the brachiocephalic trunk.
Goes into 2.
And that, well, in the cat, remember that if we were, let me first list the 2 branches off the arch of the aorta are the brachiocephalic trunk, red pin, and the left subclavian artery. Be sure you say the whole name, folks, because otherwise you'll get points taken off. Okay, are we clear? Now let's go back and say, well, now what happens to the brachiocephalic trunk? In the cat, it gives rise, and we have to really push the
left and right carotid artery and the right.
Do we see 3 branches?
Artery.
I see 3. I'm going to go here. I'm going to, yeah. So remember, this venous structure, veins are always superficial to arteries. So we really have to be respectful and just kind of pull on it. But I'm going to go yellow pin, blue pin, and green pin are the 3 branches. And Cecilia, if you want to come to this side, or to all have the same perspective, maybe I just don't want it to be skewed for Nicole. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to really push all the venous structures over. But can you see those 3 branches? The yellow, the blue, and the green off the red. The red's the brachiocephalic trunk. The yellow, blue, and green are the 3 trifurcations off the brachiocephalic trunk, or the first one, the yellow one. And if you follow the yellow one, then I'd have to jockey back. But the first one actually goes over to the right upper extremity, so it's called the
Right.
subclavian artery. Okay, the blue one is traveling straight up here, and we can actually see this. You can actually, if you do the dissection, you can actually see the continuity. See right here, it's awfully dark in this room, but see there, right there, there's the direct continuation of the blue vessel. Can you see that okay, Cecilia?
Yeah.
So that's the right common carotid artery. Very good. And the green pin does the exact same thing, parallels the blue pin, only stays on the left of midline and is the
left common carotid.
The left common carotid. So in the cat, and here's the left common carotid. Wasn't dissected out, but we can dissect it out. There it is. Hand me one of those little metal probe, this got an angle at the end. No, those are dissection needles. Those are too sharp. Just that blunt, it's called a blunt. Yeah, that's it. This is blunt dissection because it's got that little crook at the end. And so we can just get under, there's the, well, I should be able, there it is. There's the left common carotid artery. So off the brachiocephalic trunk that sort of goes slightly to the upper extremity and to the neck, right subclavian, right common carotid, and in the cat, the left common carotid as well.
Right subclavian artery, right common
Carotid
artery.
artery.
Not common.
Yeah, yes it is. It's right common.
All right.
And I'll tell you what helped me. Even though the name of the brachiocephalic trunk does not include the adjective right, in my mind I called it the right brachiocephalic trunk, because then I remembered it's the right subclavian and the right common carotid, because in the human,
That's how it works.
those are the only two vessels that come off the brachiocephalic trunk. Remember, the cat departs from the human anatomy in that in the human, there's 3 vessels off the aortic arch. Remember, there's only 2 in the cat. So in humans, here's the brachiocephalic trunk that then just after they've cut it off here becomes the right subclavian and the right common carotid artery. And then the left common carotid artery and left subclavian artery come off directly in the humans. But in the cat, the strategy is both common carotids have to arise. Yeah. So
And the left subclavian on the cat
the left subclavian in the cat comes off the arch of the aorta directly as the
white one.
That white pin, remember, see
Okay,
right there.
Okay.
And to convince yourself, just dissect a little bit farther up and watch it. See, it's coming right there. It is, and you can with the spreading technique just really clean up all this other stuff. And although it's nerve and other things that we don't want to just snip, but you can convince yourself that, oh, indeed, I see it coming right under the clavicle and then emerging into the brachium as the brachial artery and coming down this middle compartment. There's the brachial artery. You can actually get the nerve cord. Remember what we said was a vascular bundle. You have vein, artery, and nerve. And so there's the brachial artery right there that came off the axillary, that came off the subclavian. Yeah, so there it is. Okay, so are you okay with the upper extremity, do you think? And the first, now, for venous drainage back, since we're still above the diaphragm, let's come back. Yeah, what we can't really see as radial and ulnar, but we know radial and ulnar, if you stay with the deep veins, form the what vein? The one you see right here. This guy right here is the, where are we in terms of anatomy? Brachial area, so brachial vein, very good. The brachial vein, blood is coming, and once we're in the axilla, it's now called the
subclavian.
No, axillary vein. It's first axillary. And so if I were to show you about the difference here, I could test like this. I could say, clearly I'd say right in the middle of the arm portion. Now remember, arm's only from shoulder to elbow, but clearly I'm brachial vein there. But as I get into, and the cat has a really little clavicle, so his underarm is about right there. So if my pin is here, then I'd want axillary vein. Very good.
So there's
And
no
as I-
real, sorry,
That's
there's
okay.
no real structure that separates that? It's
Oh,
just-
yes, there's absolutely a well-defined anatomical confines or borders of what's called the axilla. And it has to do with the margins of certain muscles and where certain nerves branch, and it's a little more anatomy than we know, but we have to guesstimate in this case. And so I know what your question is, Katie. How are you going to know? Well, remember we said famous is this vessel and its merger from up above. In this cat, we could have dissected a little bit higher up here to really convince ourselves. And a lot of times it's nice to actually, take the musculature up a little bit higher. It's hard to but you can see, you can at least project that you know that one going up coming from the neck is the jugular vein, right? That's technically the internal jugular, but it comes down. And then what's the vessel that joins that at sort of a 90-degree angle? It's the subclavian. And remember the famous anatomy, it's called the crotch, because right there, folks, today in lecture we're going to, well, actually, if there's time, is where the lymphatic, the right and left lymphatic ducts dump lymph back into venous blood supply. And although the lymphatic vessels are there, we've been pretty gruff and haven't dealt real, delicately with this. And so I can't really, and plus those vessels aren't injected, but like we get little lymph nodes and we get little other structures. Like there's a, no, I can't tell that. Anyway, so that's a famous landmark right there, and it's the joining of the, so we came brachial vein, axillary vein, subclavian vein. Is it all one vein? Yes, it is, folks. It's just named differently for the region as it passes through that region. And then it's joined by venous blood coming from, in this case, the left side of the head and neck as the internal jugular. And now, forever thereafter, where those two merge, what's structure?
Superior vena cava.
No, not yet. Because, see, this is where there's two brachiocephalic veins. There was only one brachiocephalic trunk that trifurcated and gave rise to major arteries, but there are two brachiocephalic veins.
And they're right and left.
They're always the exact merger. Yeah, they're called the right and left. You're right, Katie. Okay. They're venous blood coming from the internal jugular on the right, joining with subclavian vein on the right, and then those form the right brachiocephalic vein. And this is a little. And then here's the left side. Exactly the same anatomy. This is the left jugular vein. This is the left subclavian vein. And these two join. And then each of these, the right and left brachiocephalic vein join to make the superior vena cava. So for venous drainage, folks, it looks very symmetrical when you look in that cat. You have sort of two sets of Ys. You have a Y here, and then the whole big Y. Technically, you have three Ys, but two of them are right and left of the exact same version. So if I were to put my pin where the yellow is, you would name that where the yellow pin is. What structure am I indicating?
That says cephalic vein.
Very good. That's the left brachiocephalic vein.
And if you go a little more
And then if I go a little farther and I name this superior vena cava.
Okay.
Very good. Or if I name this one, the yellow and the white are exactly the same thing. Only they're right and left. Right, left and right. Okay, so kind of understanding that, then let me, while we're still above the diaphragm, what is this structure? If I kind of pull the heart away and the lung, separate the heart and the lung, and I put my pin right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the right lung over to the right, and I'm going to pull the heart over to the left. And do we not see how those... Inferior vena cava. Perfect. It technically is the thoracic inferior vena cava. But now watch. What if I go all the way? I'm going to take my white pin with me. I'm going to go all the way over. And I'm going to... Actually, what I can do is the little bone cutters in there, that little fingernail clipper-like thing. One or the other. Okay, very good. No, that one. What I'm going to do, folks, is I'm just going to kind of...